All right. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to the B2B Marketing and Sales Hacks recurring webcast series, 20 minutes every other week to help bridge the gap between marketing and sales. Today's Tuesday, March 12th. I'm Ryan Gerardi. Thank you for tuning in again, or for the first time, or for your last. I am grateful that you are here. As you can see, I have themed today around, sorry, I have got to press a button there. I've themed today why B2B brands should think and act like a publisher. So what does that mean? I'm going to get into that in just a few moments. Do a quick orientation. This is a brand new series that I'm launching. As you can see, the whole idea is going to be here for 20 minutes every other week. I did one 2 weeks ago, end of February. And at the time, I had said I'd probably do this every 3 to 5 weeks. But what I realized is after doing it and getting some of the response from people and looking at it, that, you know what, probably should do it a little bit more often. So here we are doing it again. I need to set up my monitor, but notifications not coming through. So we're going to scrap the monitor and I will just trust everything is doing as it's supposed to. So we record this. So if you might be watching the replay, I'm not putting this out into a podcast. The only place to get this stuff is up on our YouTube channel. So I'll do some orientation stuff in a little bit, but the goal here is 20 minutes. I wanted to get started early today just because, well, look, I'm out of my house today. I actually had to wait here for a delivery that just arrived, and I had to set up kind of a makeshift studio here at the house, which I did last week for the first time, for the second time under the White Collar Therapy Show, which is another business related show that I do every other week with my good friend, Rob Holman. I set this kind of setting up here in my living room because I thought I had a nice warm feel. And I thought, you know what, maybe I'll do that for this series too, as opposed to the typical brick backdrop. So recap of the previous session, it was focused on what sells and the problem with leads. And what we did is what I explained is that I think that there is a huge misconception, misunderstanding, misuse of the word marketing. And we all do it. I do it myself. So I have a website set up that says B2B marketing. We all think of marketing as promoting. That's what we think of marketing. But truth is, marketing is the entire business. And I'm not going to rehash what I did last week. I'm not going to redo what I did last week. I'm going to recap it. Marketing is your entire business. So sales is a function of marketing. Advertising is a function of marketing. Client services, human resources, product, anything that interfaces with customers and employees, that is marketing. Marketing's really everything. And I think a lot of times, I know we look at marketing as it's really campaigning. It's promoting and campaigning. It's advertising. And that is a function of marketing. So we have to draw that distinction there. You have to draw a distinction between fact and fiction. And the fact is marketing is everything. And fiction is that promoting, marketing is promoting, marketing is advertising. No, it's the other way around. I got to slide this over because I keep seeing my hands wave. Now, the other thing we focused on is the problem with leads. And I define a lead as a piece of information that leads to something else. If you think of police work and detective work, you get good leads and bad leads, right? But it's just leads of information. And I think the same thing applies with sales. Is a lot of times there's a lot of pressure on marketing departments, if you will, which is really your campaigning department. We really should rename it to you're the campaign manager. There's all this pressure to produce leads. And the problem is when you give always say a lead is a piece of contact information that is associated to a person that has some sort of expressed interest. And if they don't book an appointment or don't show up for it or don't buy and go into a contract, then the salespeople can say that's a bad lead. Okay. And that's fair. And then we're not going to change that, but that was what we focused on. So go back and look for that video so that you can watch that. It's about 25 minutes long. You can get all these replays on the AutoConversion YouTube channel. There's a playlist for B2B marketing and sales hacks, and you can go on autoconversion.net, look under the watch page, under watch, choose B2B marketing hacks, and you'll see all the previous versions. This is only the second one. So I should probably check the page, see if anyone might be stopping by. It's such a brand new series. I'm not, expecting a big show right up out the gate, but I do expect to build it. We've had a lot of great response to all of our previous stuff. So this concept, something I've been working towards for probably over 6 months now. So it's exciting to be here. So let's dial this into how to think and act like a publisher. What do I mean by that? So if you look at the typical corporate blog, and I say corporate, I just mean a business blog. If you go to a business's website and you look at their blog, typically you're going to see low level and self-centered content. Now, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but what I mean is this. Low level content is typically stuff that is meeting the spec or the criteria, 300 to 500 words, 600 to 800 words, focused on a subject, okay, focused on a topic. Three tips for this, or how to do this and how to do that. And it's basically somebody in the campaigning department that's put together and written a blog post with a title and an image and put it out on the blog to have some filler. Let me tell you, that content has almost no value to your target audience because it's low level. They can get it anywhere. Why do they need it from a business? So that's one example. And we know that most of that content is done for SEO purposes because it helps, bring in search traffic. But I would argue that low level content isn't effectively doing that anymore because you have to put more into your content. Self-centered content. What is self-centered? It's content that intentionally draws the focus on your company, your agenda. Every business has the same objective: to grow and bring on new business. That's the purpose of business, is to bring on new business. And we do that by sales. We bring on new business through sales. So self-centered content is content that talks either about you or what you do. So a lot of times I got to be careful here because I don't want to don't really want to offend some people that keep up with me. But a lot of times, if you look at a company blog, let's say they blog their product is a software that does a very specific thing. Almost all of their content is going to be about that specific thing. And here's the problem with that. If you are not in research mode, then that content is of little to no value for you. And if you are a customer already, you might not always need that content. So when we talk about marketing and creating that experience with the outside world, with prospective clients, with current clients, to create that experience, we need to produce content that is valuable to them all the time. Doesn't mean they're going to like everything that you do, but the point is that you need to produce content for the audience. So going back to thinking like a publisher, if a newspaper or a magazine, how do they get their money? By selling advertising and subscriptions. So subscriptions and advertising, subscriptions and advertising. If all they did was produce content that spoke to the advertiser and said, you should advertise with us, they wouldn't sell any ads because it wouldn't attract people. It wouldn't attract audience. So a publisher has to produce content that attracts people. Think Mashable, think Digital Trends. These are, BuzzFeed. They're producing content for the audience. And I argue that a company needs to think the same way. And I know that's not an embraced philosophy, but what I'm saying that a company needs to think the same way. They need to think, what can we do to produce content for, there we go, because it's 2:00. Yeah, I started early. Now I'm getting all these notices that we're going live. That's pretty funny. All right, so don't get off track here. Keeping this to 20 minutes, we're already halfway through. So if by chance you're just tuning in to the live session, I started this early to get things going because I have to be somewhere very soon, and so I apologize but hey, this is on-demand stuff. So where I'm going with all this is you need to produce content that's for the audience. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only type of content you do and that you should never do content that is self-focused or self-centered and talks about your business. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do calls to action and prompt people to inquire. You definitely want those things. I'm saying you probably want to think about that 80-20 rule. And when I say 80-20, I mean 80% about your audience. Let me give you an example of a bad, well, hold on, let me finish that thought. So going back to the last session, we talked about bridging that gap between marketing and sales. Here's where I think there's this, the disconnect is that advertising is labeled as marketing. And the general consensus is it's meant to produce leads to give to the salespeople to go and sell product to. That's the general consensus. And I would say, break that model out of your mind, okay? Marketing, which is product, human resources, client services, advertising, and sales. Marketing is all that output to create an effect, okay? You want to think of like a fire hose, okay? You want to shower the world with your marketing, okay? With your love, with your essence. That's what you want to do, so that when your salespeople do what they do, which is network and reach out, okay? That's what salespeople do, because people sell. And when they do that, ideally, the people they're coming into contact with can say, oh yeah, I read this, or I saw that, or I listened to this on your podcast. And that trust is there. That's what you're after. That's what your salespeople really need from you. They don't need leads. I'm telling you, I can't keep up with all the leads that I have for my little business. Cannot keep up with all the leads. I spend more time trying to organize leads than anything else, because I like to keep track. But most importantly is I try to always be putting something out there. Why? Because then when I do talk to people, they're already really familiar with me and my message and what I do. Okay, so hopefully I got that point driven. And I'm saying break that model, not saying don't campaign. I'm not saying don't advertise. I'm not saying those things. Do those things, but focus more on content that you, if you were a publisher, the content that is for the audience. Case in point, if you look at AutoConversion, look under shows, look under the watch page, okay? We do over a dozen live events every month. And this one's brand new, and this one's very focused on, as you can see, B2B marketing. I have a weekly show that's focused on future tech, mobility tech. Okay, that's like the tech piece. We do that every week. In fact, I got one tomorrow with a guest coming on, and I always have a guest. Pretty much always have a guest on that program. We have some that are very specific to auto retail. And here's the thing: I don't have a product that I sell to a dealer, yet I make content for dealers. And someone say, well, why do you do that? Because it attracts an audience. It builds an audience. And then from that audience, find different ways to monetize your time. And I don't need to get into that. Point is, I'm focusing on producing content for the audience, because that's what builds and attracts an audience. Now let's get into the when you are failing at producing the right content or any content. I'm going to read something to you. I got an email 4 days ago from somebody I don't know. And a lot of people will classify this as spam. I'm not going to say who the company is, but it starts off, it's got my name in the subject. That's good. That means you have good data. If I don't know you and you're using my name and my company name, then that means you have good data. And I've been telling this people all along, getting good data isn't difficult. You can buy highly targeted contact information, which I go back to. That's not what we need. That's not what sells. Okay. I said last week, measuring your success in advertising by the number of leads, it's like counting the number of first downs you got in a game. It's just a metric. It doesn't sell. But his email says, I wanted to. That's how it starts off. Hi, Ryan. I wanted to share a quick intro of myself and my software. I'm not going to say the name of the software. Nowadays, a lot of people would mark that as spam. Most people would ignore it, which I always do. Never heard of the company. It'd be different if I had been on the company's website or had engaged with that company in some way, but never heard. And all he says is, I notice you're using a different software from ours. He named the software, which isn't difficult to figure out either. And he basically said, our software is better than the software you're using. Can we connect? No links to information or anything. And then guess what? This was 4 days ago. And then just this morning, I get another email and it starts off the same way. Hey, Ryan, I wanted to. I want. No one cares what you want. They don't care. So, and again, if this was a company who was producing content and I was engaging with that content and I got that email, that's a different story. That bridge between marketing and sales is built. So again, we misuse the term marketing. This is promotion. This is advertising. He's just promoting. That's all he's doing. He's doing sales, not marketing. Another example, just to finish this off, is a company that I did reach out to. I reached out to them about buying some data from them. And I went through the spiel and everything. So I raised my hand without them doing anything. So they had a website and they had what I needed. Very low funnel. I didn't end up purchasing from them, but I liked what I saw. So I asked for pricing. And the salesperson did his due diligence and followed up with me. In fact, he was great. He followed up with me every month because I asked him to for about 3 or 4 months. And then I finally said, you know what? I've decided not to go that direction, but you're welcome to check in with me, because he built that trust with me there. And I think after about 9 months, he basically considered that a dead lead and moved it into his marketing team. And guess what happens now? I get emails and phone calls from them pretty consistently. Hi, Ryan, we're just following up about your interest in our product. Okay. What they're not doing is sending me information that is valuable to me that I can use. All they are doing is soliciting me to buy their product because I got into their sales funnel. So this is that disconnect that I'm talking about. This is on their side, the sales guy's like, hey, that was a bad lead because he didn't buy. That's what the average salesperson is going to say. Ryan was a bad lead because he did not buy. An honest salesperson would say, that was a great lead that our website generated because we had a website. So kudos to the marketing team for setting up a website, because that got this guy in the door. It just didn't work out. So I wanted to give those two examples of where that disconnect is between sales and campaigning. So I'm going to call this a wrap. I know I talked a lot. That's why I'm keeping it to 20 minutes. Let me do one thing here. I'm going to share my screen for you. Ding dong. So first off, thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see here, then get signed up. Go to autoconversion.net, and under webcasts is B2B marketing. You will get this page here. Register here. That'll invite you automatically. You can join me here on the webinar. And I'm willing to bring people on and have this conversation. You just got to promise to keep it to 20 minutes with me. This will allow me to ship off this information for you. Definitely get subscribed to our YouTube channel. The link is right there. Press that bell icon to turn on notifications. That way, when we do go live, you get notified and you can watch it right there on your phone from YouTube. And you can always watch it later. I've set up an event for this on Facebook, so get subscribed there. And thanks for those that already are from our first session. And we'll put announcements up there. Connect with me on LinkedIn so you can be notified as well. And then if you look here, see that link to the watch page? This is under Watch B2B Marketing Hacks. You'll go here. So you can watch right here and say hello when you get there. Just log in to discuss and say hello. And I've got all those links that I just showed you right there. And if you haven't already, get our B2B demand generation quick start guide. That will basically take everything that I'm saying here and put it into context for you and give you a little roadmap to doing all these things. Thanks again. I'm Ryan Gerardi. I will be back in 2 weeks, same time, same place. Stay tuned for more. Get dialed in. Let me know what you think. Let me know your ideas. And yeah, let's make it real and have a good time. Thanks, everyone.